Hi, I'm Jim McCann, founder of 1-800-Flowers. I'm not satisfied when I learn something new unless I share it forward. And so we created this podcast to continue that, to share forward the wonderful people we get to meet and most importantly get to learn from and make our lives richer and better. Together we'll cover the human experience. And for me, the human experience is foundational in the idea of relationships. The topics will be far-reaching, but common element you'll see here is it's all about relationships. So I invite you to join us on this journey. Come experience it with us, share your thoughts and ideas, and become part of our community. We'd love to have you.
Today's guest on Celebrations Chatter is Amanda Kloots, a Broadway actress, fitness guru, and television personality. Born and raised in Ohio, Amanda left home as a young woman and moved to New York City, determined to make it in entertainment. On Broadway, Amanda has performed in hit shows including Good Vibrations, Follies, Young Frankenstein, and Bullets Over Broadway. She's a former member of one of the nation's premier dance companies, the Rockettes, and in 2021, competed in the 30th season of Dancing with the Stars. As a fitness instructor, Amanda's jump rope-based classes are a mix of dance and cross-training, with special attention to form and detail to create a unique, fun workout. Amanda joined CBS's The Talk as a co-host in 2021, where she weighs in on topics such as current events, pop culture, contemporary issues, and family life. After the untimely passing of her husband, Nick Cordero, in 2020, Amanda wrote Live Your Life, a memoir about love, loss, and life. Live Your Life is the story of Nick and Amanda's life together, of their beautiful relationship, of Nick's dramatic fight for survival, of those sudden, tragic months that permanently changed her world and ours, and of their interrupted future as a family. Amanda co-wrote the book with the help of her sister Anna, who was with her every step of the journey. Even in the face of tragedy, Amanda courageously brings her infectious and inspirational attitude to everything that she does. Let's learn how Amanda shares it forward on this episode of Celebrations Chatter.
Well, thanks for making the time for us, Amanda. The team here, Team Flowers, has been excited about doing this, and I'm just the figurehead for a bunch of talented people. We're really excited to meet you and hear your story, and they've all become enormous fans of yours. And we're singly responsible for a spike in book sales in the Long Island area because everyone's reading the book at the same time, so we couldn't share a copy.
Well, thank you.
So I just love reading your book and hearing your story. I'm imagining this young gal in Canton, Ohio, comes from a regular American family in a regular American Ohio, and she has this dream, and all of a sudden, her dream comes true. She moves to New York, and she becomes a Rockette.
You know, it was a whole new world to me. It was really crazy.
I think there are parents around the world right now going, I'd never let my daughter do that.
I've never let Elvis do that. I say that all the time. If Elvis is like, I want to move to New York at 18, I'll be like, no. It's a hard life, you know? I mean, it's tough. You're competing against people that are just as talented, if not more talented than you. Every single day you're getting told no. You have to have the thickest skin. You have to be really self-confident and have a lot of self-esteem. And you just have to be willing to keep working because the work never stops. You just have to keep taking lessons, work harder, dance more, sing more, go to acting school. It doesn't matter if you make it on Broadway. It's like you have to keep up with your skill in order to keep up with the crowd.
Yeah.
And it's tough. It's a hard way to live, but I loved it. I mean, I wouldn't change a thing.
In reading your book, I noticed several times you talk about foundationally, you're all about relationships, and you talk about community and different sub-communities a lot. Is there a community among Broadway people? As a florist in New York for a long time, I've always had lots of people from the Broadway community work in our shops when they needed other income. And they just seem like terrific people from all over the place. Is there a real sense of community in that common struggle?
Oh, 100%. I mean, the Broadway community, there's nothing like them. It really is a beautiful group of people. And I think it's because we all understand struggle for something that you dream about doing. And I think that sense of determination and resilience just creates the most beautiful community of people that will continue to be there for you, be your friend, support you, like no other group will.
It seemed that when you guys made the decision to move to California, that was very hard for you to leave that community. Of course, you had your parents just moved to New York.
Yeah. I mean, the thing is like I had already been out of the Broadway community for a couple of years because I had started my fitness business. So my fitness business was, thriving in New York City at the time that we left. It was, Nick was still involved in Broadway and still auditioning for Broadway shows. And yeah, it was hard to leave New York for those reasons. I felt like, we need work, and the people who know us and hire us, and my whole business is in New York. It's not in LA. And we just have a 3-month-old little baby. Is this the time to pick up and start over when we want to build a future and, hopefully a home for our family one day? So that was where I was coming from.
You hoodwinked your folks to coming and being supportive in New York. Oh, by the way.
Well, not entirely. They had moved. They had already been there for a year. And my sister, my 2 sisters were also in New York. My other sister had just had a baby as well. So we weren't just the only family members in New York that they were moving there for. But yes, they were not happy about the fact that Nick wanted to move our family across the country. That's for sure.
And are they with you in California now?
Yeah, they are. They are with me right now, but they come back and forth. They spend a lot of time in Ohio, but they come out and help me for a good, month and a half, 2 months at a time, which is really nice because they love Elvis. They get along with him so well. They're like this little, threesome group that bop around LA while I'm working my 20 jobs. So it's really cute.
As a very experienced grandfather, I can tell you there's nothing like the special club of being a grandparent.
Yeah, it's really fun to see because unfortunately I have 5 siblings and we all live nowhere near Ohio. So my mom and dad, when they're still in Ohio, they're like, gosh, why did our kids all move out of the state? We want to be grandparents. So it's wonderful to see them come here and get to be grandparents. And I let them do whatever they want with Elvis. They take him all around town and they have a blast. And so they really do get the chance to kind of, be grandpa and grandpa.
So was it Ozzie and Harriet kind of growing up in Canton, Ohio?
It was a beautiful life. I will tell you, we lived in this gorgeous neighborhood and we would, play with our friends at the street, down the street. My dad would whistle when it was time for us to come home for dinner. We could hear him no matter where we were. We'd ride our bikes back up the hill. It was a beautiful, very safe kind of Brady Bunch-esque kind of Norman
Yeah, I
Rockwell.
dated myself there by asking if it was Ozzie and Harriet. You don't even know who Ozzie and Harriet were. So Brady Bunch is a much more contemporary way
Brady
of
Bunch.
asking the same question.
Yes, you are. Norman Rockwell painting kind of, yes, suburbia, beautiful Ohio upbringings.
Yeah, it does sound kind of Norman Rockwell-like.
Yes, it was. It was. We
Pretty
were very
special.
lucky.
And so then the little girl goes off to New York, becomes a Broadway cast member, has this wonderful career, and then the world goes a little cockeyed on you.
Yeah, the world goes cockeyed on all of us, but yeah.
Everyone here was watching you on Dancing with the Stars.
Oh, thank you. Gosh, that was fun.
And I heard a big critique this morning, a very positive review of your dress.
Oh, well, thank you. Which dress? The one I did the Grammys on?
No, the essay said that one, but the one I remember was you did an interview with Alan, and he was saying it's probably. Oh no, I think you said it was the nicest costume you've ever worn, and you've worn a lot of costumes.
Oh, okay. Yes. I mean, the costumes at Dancing with the Stars, that's, half the reason why you want to do that show is to wear those gorgeous costumes that the girls get to wear.
Yeah. The people around here are fond of making fun of the fact that I was asked to do the Dancing with the Stars probably 15 years ago or
Really?
more. And I turned it down. I said, no, I'm not going to subject myself to that. I am extremely clumsy. Well, of course, it's gone on to become a huge show, and their standards are much higher. They would never even consider a broken down old two left-footed guy like me. But I've made a lot of those bad judgments in my life. No, that'll never amount to anything. Only maybe one of the biggest shows of all time.
It is a very fun show, but it is intense. I mean, it's so
physically intense too.
Physically, but emotionally and mentally. It really is like this threefold, especially when you make it down to the end. It is a very intense process. No one really understands. You can't really understand it unless you do it.
And to achieve what you have in the world you have achieved in, there must be a strong competitive streak in you.
I think it's just that I like to work. I like to hustle. I don't know. I don't know if I would say competitive, because I learned in my Broadway days that I kind of just like to stay in my own lane. I put blinders on and I just focus on my dreams, my intentions, what I want to accomplish in my life. And so it's not really a competitive thing for me. It's more so, I guess, more so competing against myself, if anything.
That just suggests a really strong constitution to start at 10 years old, to have a dream, to go to those dance classes. Your parents go with you to your recitals and all your different competitions. It develops a strong constitution, I would think.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. My dad worked every single day of his life, even on Saturdays. And, my mom raising 5 kids, now being a parent, understanding how hard and what a tough job that is. I think I just had a really good example of hard work and seeing it pay off, and believing in something and seeing those things come true at a young age.
Yeah. And in your book, in the book, Live Your Life, huge hit, but that had to take a similar kind of commitment to write that book at the time you wrote it.
Yes, it did, because, we were up against a deadline, of course. And then also my sister who wrote it with me was living in Paris. So we had to work, bi-coastally, by country. And that was a bit of a challenge until we figured out a great pattern in order to do it. But yeah, I mean, it was, but retrospect and looking back, I'm so glad that we had to do it quickly, because there was so much information in my head, so many medical terms, numbers, dates, details that are in this book that if you asked me to write this book now, I know I wouldn't be, as descriptive, because
I found myself and especially in the beginning of the book, when you're going through that horrific experience you did, wondering if you were journaling or logging, because it was so detailed But as you say, you think you're going to remember that forever, and you don't.
Yeah, no, I didn't journal. I'm actually not somebody that journals. I didn't write really anything down. I had it in, it was so a part of my life. It was what I lived and breathed for 95 days. I mean, it just was all right here in my head. I remembered everything, what I said, what I was wearing, what I was eating, what we were doing, what the doctor said, who the doctor was, what they told me, when they told me, how I felt. Like I remembered everything.
And the team of celebrations here, just before we started, said, "Where's Anna now?"
Yeah, she's still in Paris.
Is she
Yeah.
still in Paris? Yeah.
Yeah, she moved to Paris, and she's writing her first single solo book, which will be coming out soon under a HarperCollins imprint. So she's staying with the family, and super excited about that.
I've mentioned before earlier that relationships seem to be critically important to you. The experience you've gone through, it seems like relationships have become much more important to you even than before. And it sounds like it had a really interesting impact on you and your relationship with your family.
Mm-hmm.
You talked about the community that you developed between your fitness business and the Broadway communities in New York. Then you talk a lot about your neighborhood community and how supportive and even if you weren't conscious of it at the time, how psychologically beneficial it was to live in Laurel Canyon and have these people sort of embrace you in this wonderful neighborhood that is genuinely a community. How do you try and maintain those community relationships? Are you deliberate about it? Is it something you give thought to?
Yeah, I think so. I think I am. LA makes that a little bit easier, in my opinion, because everybody just, is a little bit more slowed down and laid back than maybe that New York lifestyle. But, I keep that fitness community up because, I have my fitness app that I run, and I love to stay in touch with them. I teach live classes every Saturday, which is fun. So I get to see people over Zoom, but interacting. I mean, I think it's just making time for all these things. It's definitely not easy, but I don't know, figuring it out.
Tell me the role. You're the same age as the youngest of my children. And so I see that they grew up not quite digitally native, but so you're closer to being digitally native, certainly not me, digital, but not native. How is the impact of social media and the different sense of community that you can have by effective use of social media? How has that evolved in your life? Is that something you were gravitated to early on? Were you an early adopter? And you talk about this army of people who you relied on, you connected with, and you feel so much a part of.
Yeah. Well, I learned a lot about that kind of social media community when I started my fitness business and saw how you can use social media to help grow a company. So that was like my first kind of introduction to it. So as my company grew, I understood that community, that online social media community. So it really wasn't anything foreign to me when I started talking about Nick's illness, that, that community that I already had, of course, supported me. But then I was surprised by the impact and the community that I gained from sharing the story. Absolutely. Mm-hmm. But it was such a beautiful time for that. People really needed people during the pandemic. They needed a community. They needed something to go to, something to believe in. So, that whole army that was created at that time, I'll never forget it. It was a lifeline to me. It was such a support system. And, they still are. I mean, I'm on tour with Dancing with the Stars, and, so many people would come out to see me and say hello and tell me they followed my story from back when I first started my fitness business. I mean, like it's beautiful. It's really cool to see how social media can make such an impact.
And they feel like they know you, and they do, right?
I mean, I think they do. Yeah. I share a lot. I do. I'm an oversharer probably on Instagram, But, I try to just share a very honest lifestyle. So you do know me. I mean, if you follow me on social media, that's me.
You can't be that out there and comfortable and interactive and hold up some kind of fake veneer here. It's penetrating.
I can't live two lives like that. I mean, what you see is what you get. Yeah.
Growing up, Amanda, how would you describe how faith and religion in your family was thought about?
Oh, a huge part. We were, church every Sunday, Sunday school, praying as a family every night before dinner, vacation Bible school, singing in the church choir. Our church was a beautiful place. It was a happy place. It was a community again. It was definitely a foundation of our family. It's always been a part of my life.
And today, how is your faith? How do you feel about religion as an aspect of faith in your life today? How's it evolved?
I think it's funny, this whole situation that I went through, everything that I went through with Nick only made my faith stronger. I've never felt more connected to God than I did during that time. I really felt like God, Nick, and I were fighting a battle, the three of us. It was really a beautiful, beautiful moment in time.
And did Nick have a similar faith basis coming into
the
relationship?
No, not at all. He didn't really, I don't think I would say he was an atheist, but he really didn't, he did not believe what I believed. That's for sure. He struggled with his faith. He struggled with who God is, where God is. And, just kind of definitely had a different belief than I did. Sure.
And how did you handle that in your relationship then? Did you find yourself proselytizing or trying to bring him along, especially when you two of you were confronting the toughest of times?
We definitely argued about it a lot, especially in the beginning. It was one of the reasons.
Wait a minute, couples argue?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Nick and I were very, very different. We pretty much argued on everything. It was one of the main reasons we had a huge breakup where we both thought like we're done and we're never going to be with each other again. It was a very pleasant breakup. It was a breakup of we love each other, but we're just too different. It's not going to work out. And so we separated. And that was definitely one of the reasons, me wanting to raise a family in a religious home,
Yep.
Going to church. And I didn't need him to be at church with me every Sunday, be at church with our family every Sunday, but I also didn't want a husband that would fight me on that either. And
Sure.
So we butted heads about a lot of things, but religion was definitely one of them. And then it wasn't until his father got really sick and his father passed away. And that's when he kind of came back for me and said, it doesn't matter. I don't want to lose you. I will do whatever you need. I love you so much. If that's a part of you, then I must love it as well.
And apparently his bad experience and losing his dad opened his eyes to what really mattered.
Yeah, I think you lose a parent, it opens your eyes to a lot of things, Yeah, definitely.
And no matter how old you are,
yeah,
and no matter how lucky you are to have them for a long time, there's still a tremendous sense of loss. And as you say, it causes you to think about a lot of things, huh?
It does, yeah.
Now you say you're different people, and maybe you thought you were too different to have the kind of relationship you wanted long term. You describe Nick as the life of the party. Are you still, even though you're a performer, are you shy?
I'm not shy. I just come at 11:30. I'm like, it'll take us a half hour to get home.
Yeah.
And then once you get home, it takes about a half hour to actually get to bed. So if we leave now, we're going to be asleep at 12:30. I have to wake up at 7. So let's go. And Nick is just like, this is just getting started. I'm not going anywhere. And so that's where we differ. That's why I call him the life of the party. I enjoy a good party. I just also enjoy going to sleep.
Now, Nick, with all of his talents, and not that you said he was a life party, but he also had to stand out at a party because a guy 6'5", 200 plus pounds, with all the talents that he had, pretty darn good looking guy too. So he must have stood out in any room.
He did. He had such a presence to him, beyond his height and stature. He did. He was everybody's friend, and he was always very calm and cool and collected, and just had a really great vibe about him. You know, he just invited people in for sure.
But I think I remember a story where he fooled you into thinking he wasn't that nice a guy when you were both doing table reads for Bullets Over Broadway.
Oh no, I knew he was a nice guy. I just thought that he was, I wouldn't say lazy. That's not the right word. It was just, I just thought he was not prepared or putting in the effort that I, sitting in my chair, thought he should be doing. So it was just me being a judgy person.
But he was trying to be in character, apparently.
Yeah, no, he was doing everything right. Again, I was sitting on my chair, on my throne, judging him, which is something no one should do. We should never sit on any throne and judge anyone. So,
but we all do it.
We all do it, but I learned my lesson, and I try very, very hard not to do that anymore.
So if you would, with all that you've learned and all the growth that you experience and experiencing, we talked about the meaning of relationships. Has your definition of what's important in a relationship changed a lot?
Yeah, it has, I think. I think that is due to obviously life, of what I've learned in life, but also age, and becoming a parent, changes a lot of things. So absolutely, I think, if and when, and hopefully one day, if I, find somebody else in my life to love, I'm absolutely looking for different things than I did at 24, for sure.
How about relationships with your folks? I see, I'm married a long time. Erla and I have 3 grown kids. More importantly, we have 7 grandkids.
Wow.
And I noticed during COVID, for the first time, our grown kids, and we're so fortunate, we live here in New York and Long Island, and our kids, now that they've married and they've started families, they just keep moving closer. Uh-huh. Apparently, as you've learned, there's a real premium on high quality, inexpensive babysitting.
Yeah.
And I noticed during COVID for the first time, our kids becoming our parents.
Yeah.
Dad, you're taking too many chances. You're not Superman. You can't go to the office all the time. You're putting mom at risk. And okay, do you have enough inventory in the house? And remember the earliest days, of course, it was so uncertain. We didn't know, well, if you got sick, would you have someplace to go? All the horrors that you lived, we were all fearful of. And that's when I noticed it doing different. Now, how has your relationship with your mom and dad, with your siblings, changed?
Immensely. My mom and dad were here for most of my journey with Nick, and my brother and my sister were able to come out and help me as well. That scenario forever changed us. I mean, it was beyond crazy times, and the way that we all lived together. And, I haven't lived with my mom and dad since I was 18 years old. So, living with my mom and dad again, and my sister and my brother and his family. I mean,
your brother Todd.
Yeah. I mean, it forever changed us. There's like a quiet, beautiful, stronger bond beyond the bond that we already had now, thanks to, and I say thanks because thanks to that time in our lives. Think about it. When in our lives would, my sister, brother, his family, my mom and dad, Elvis and I all just decide to move into a house together and live together for a month and a half. Never
going to happen. In fact, you go many months, sometimes a year, and not see them.
Never going to happen. So, it forever changed us. I mean, but also this whole situation, losing somebody that you love at 41 years old. It made me appreciate life. It made me work harder in my life. It made me hug people longer, kiss people goodbye, say I love you more, go for my dreams even more than I would already go for my dreams. Just do it. Like, don't say, I'm going to start that one day. No, I'm starting it today. I'm just going to start. I might not have tomorrow. I might not have next week. Like, life, we are not invincible. Like, I don't get to just decide when if I want to do something, I'm going to do it. So, yeah, it was some very beautiful life lessons learned for sure.
I remember in the book, all of a sudden Todd's packing up the car and he's driving from someplace, I don't know where he lived at that time, to come help out. You got to be transported right back to the relationship you had when you're 16 and living at home. And now all of a sudden your brother's coming to your aid.
I mean, my brother, I can't say enough about him. He rescued me. I mean, he showed up in hours' notice and just became Elvis's, second father and the best big brother in the entire world. He always was, but he walked in and saved the day. I couldn't have gotten through that part of my life without him. And still to this day, he still lives in San Francisco. If I called him, if I needed him, he'd be down here in 7 hours as soon as he could drive. He's the greatest.
People can hear in your voice, I can hear in your voice how genuine that is and how important that is. And I bet everyone who hears you say that is thinking about a relationship in their life. And is it to the level that they would like? Is it similar to yours? Is it onto? And when they hear and they've read your story about your relationship, certainly becoming a writing partner with Anna, I think that you as a family could become the poster children of what people would love to have in a relationship with their siblings. But you have to work at it, and you can't take it for granted. And as you said, without some catastrophic event or some wonderful event, a lot of time can pass when none of you live in Ohio anymore, and time can slip away, and a lot of time can pass before you actually see one another. Thank God for this technology.
Yes, thank God. Thank God. Right. But you're right. It takes work. You have to call, you have to write, you have to check in, you have to remember, you have to listen, all of those things. But that's, any relationship that's important to you in your life, you will do those things.
So you're deliberate about using your time, that the solitude of the car. Do you listen to music while you're driving?
Yeah, I listen to music. I listen to podcasts. I pray. I talk to Nick a lot in the car. I do a lot in the car. It's funny. People don't like traffic or driving in LA, and I don't mind it at all because I get a lot done.
but look at the importance of the attitude you have.
Yeah.
It can be either this horrible, horrific situation, and you could, this is terrible, or you could say, I can make this time mine.
Yeah, it's so true. I actually, after this, I have to drive down to Long Beach, and the guy that I'm meeting, he was like, "Oh, you're gonna run into some traffic, though," and I was like, "It's okay. It's fine. If I run into traffic, it's traffic. It's LA. Who cares?"
and the route is on the 405, which means there's going to be traffic.
Yeah.
So I told you early on in our conversation that I thought of you the other day, having read your book. And I got some interesting comments sitting on a plane when people would see what book I was reading. The person next to you wants to ask you, geez, that's more like a chick book. I'm surprised to see you reading that. And so I think I sold quite a few copies of the book. I'm sure my royalty check is in the mail. I'm walking down right past the Rockefeller Center a couple of weeks ago, and I'm on the west side, on the uptown side of Rock Center, which is not a lot going on that street there. And there are two gals out, obviously Rockettes, and they have like a black dance pants and the black high heel dance shoes. And it must have been one of their families, a mom and dad and a little one. And they were both standing doing that leg up high split on either side. So framing this picture, and they asked me to take the picture of them as I went by so they could all be in it at the same time. And I thought of you, knowing that as I was getting to know you and your story through your book, and knowing that we were going to have a chance to talk. So I said, this is serendipitous that I'm reminded of you.
Yeah, that's crazy. I know exactly where you're talking about, and I'm pretty sure I've taken many of photos in that exact same location, probably with my leg up as well.
Yeah, and I was just imagining the pain if I had ever tried to lift my.
Hilarious.
We talked about all the good things that have come, and the best thing I can imagine in your life is Elvis.
Yes, absolutely.
I also imagine Elvis is going to be a tall boy.
I hope so. I would.
I mean, look at the gene pool he comes from.
If he's not
5'10", 6'5", come on.
If he's not tall, I slept with somebody else, I guess.
Where is he on the? When you go to the doctor, my grandkids, I hear what decile they're in.
Yeah, my doctor doesn't do that. I've asked, and he says he doesn't do that. So I don't know.
Tall?
He has very long legs. He's at the same height as everybody in his school, though. So I don't think he's extraordinarily tall just yet. But I shot up in 8th grade. Nick did too. I have no doubt that this child isn't going to be a very tall kid.
And is he singing and dancing yet?
Oh yeah, he sings all the time. More singing than dancing.
I saw earlier today. Team Celebrations was looking at some things some interviews you did, and what did you say he was singing?
Oh, well, his latest 2 favorite songs are Who Let the Dogs Out and Bad to the Bone. I'm not kidding you. I put him to bed and I say, what song do you want me to sing? And he says, Bad to the Bone. He's, sad because he has to go to bed, but I want to sing Bad to the Bone. Or he'll go, Who Let the Dogs Out? And then I'm like, Who let the dogs out? That's the bedtime song right now.
Recently we had a new grandbaby. She's coming up on 6 months. Her older brother, who was 2.5, just not quite 2.5, a Christmas ago, was very shy around the family. His name is Kurt, and it was height of COVID, so we were being very careful. So they came over to the house. The weather was cold, but it was clear and dry. We're outside, and all of a sudden, he was given a portable microphone with a battery operated microphone, and we have a 2-step high stoop on the front of the house under a little portico, and he takes out the microphone. And he starts singing his favorite song, "Garbage Truck."
Oh yeah,
garbage truck.
Oh yeah, Elvis
sings the whole song beginning to end. So I'm thinking he was close in age to Elvis now.
I know that song.
You got that one?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
But it's amazing to see a little shy one. All of a sudden, I have a nickname for each of the grandkids. And for him, I said that day his nickname is going to be Crooner, but it's not sticking. It's a little too long, so we're going to have to find an alternative.
That's cute. I love it.
Elvis has become famous. This Elvis. There was another one I think before that was pretty famous too. But what concerns do you have about his being well known?
I don't have any yet. I really don't.
He's not aware of it.
He's not aware of it. And he's such a special little boy. I can already tell. He's an old soul. I knew the second I saw him. And he's a beautiful little boy. I don't have any concerns at the moment. I'm sure I will as he gets older, but I'm okay. Right now we're in a good place, I think. He can still walk down the street and not get attention. So we're not too famous to see.
What's his attitude about autographs?
I'm sure he'd turn his cheek. He's a little shy with photos and autographs and videos.
So tell us, the book has got to be doing great, right?
The book is doing so well. I feel so grateful. I'm really happy about it and how it was received and all the beautiful messages that people send me about it. It was such a cathartic, very therapeutic thing for me to write, a very healing process indeed. So I'm happy that people are liking it.
Yeah, it must be gratifying. What have you heard from people who said, I got this, I've taken away this from reading your book, or taken away that?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, beautiful messages about how it helped them in grief, how it helped with family bonds, how it helped them understand hospitals and hospital relations.
And how they have to manage their own healthcare.
Yeah, everything. A lot of beautiful messages.
And what about what would you say to people about how should they express themselves to you, to their friend, to their relative, to their neighbor who's going through a horrific time? Can they make a mistake? Can they say the wrong thing? What helped you?
I think just people being their authentic selves, coming over and just being themselves, not trying to put on a veil of, oh, I'm sad too, even if they are. It was just, if you're a helper, help. If you're a baker, come over and bake. If you are a comedian, come over and tell me jokes. Just be who you are.
I'm reminded of a situation with, I had a friend who called me and said, hey, a couple of guys are getting together for dinner tonight. Are we going to see you? And I said, well, yes, but I'm going to be late because a friend of ours in the community lost his dad. And I said, so-and-so passed away. I'm going to stop by the services and pay my respects. He goes, I was thinking I was thinking I should go to that myself, but at the end of the day, I don't know that I really knew them well enough to go. And I said, okay, John, I'll see you later at the dinner, but I'll be late. And then he called me back a few minutes later and he asked me about it. And I said, well, John, the reason I encouraged you to go is my brothers and sisters and I have been in the front of that room way too many times. And there wasn't one time, John, not one time that someone came in that we said, what are they doing here? They didn't know us well enough. And quite the opposite. We thought, how nice of them to go out of their way to come comfort us, to express themselves, to pay their respects. Yeah. And he said, I thought that's what you were going to say. And I'm going to call the other guys. We'll both be late. I'm going to go to the service too. So I think what you're saying is good counsel to all of us. Be yourself. Express yourself. You can't make a mistake, and take advantage of the opportunity to use your power. Yeah. To make someone else feel special.
Absolutely, and I think it's the people that come out of the woodworks that you haven't seen in 5 years, or that brand new friend that, in a weird way, become like your strongest confidants through this traumatic journey. It really it's very strange. It's like the unexpected people. It might not be your friend from life, or your best friend for the last 10 years. It's like that neighbor that you just met, or your coworker. It's very interesting. So yeah, I would say if your instinct is to go, to help, to say I love you, to send a card or flowers,
or say I don't know what to say and give them a hug.
Absolutely. You don't have to know what to say. There's nothing right to say. Nobody has the right words to say anything,
Well, Amanda, I was sitting on a flight last 2 weeks ago, coming back from San Francisco, and I had this on my lap. I was taking good advantage of the 5-hour flight to finish your book. And a lady came by and she looked and passed on, and she sat about 5 rows behind me. She came back and she tapped the book and she said, I just read it too. Great book. And Amanda, that's what I want to say to you. A great and moving book. You shared so much, and anyone who read it will take a lot of good things from it. I know I did. And I especially appreciate you being so generous with your time today, because I've enjoyed getting to know you and living your life, and getting to know you even better through the miracle of modern telecommunication.
Yeah, modern technology. Well, thank you so much. I really appreciate that.
So there's a whole team of people here that look forward to following your career. We can't wait to see the next project that you'll do this summer. And apparently Team Celebrations is dialed in every time you're on the talk.
Thank you so much. That was lovely. I appreciate it.
We're better for having known about you and gotten to know you now. Thank you.
Thank you.
That was Amanda Kloots on Celebrations Chatter. Amanda's story is one of spirit and hope. We are inspired by her determination in chasing her dreams, and are even more inspired by how she finds courage in times of tragedy. You can learn more about Amanda by visiting her website at www.amandakloots.com. And make sure to watch her on The Talk, which airs on CBS Monday through Friday at 2 p.m. Eastern.
Well, I hope you enjoyed what you heard, and I know I'll be sharing it forward. I hope you get to as well. Let's keep the conversation going. Follow me along on Twitter at Jim1800Flowers and on LinkedIn at Jim McCann. Hope to talk to you soon.
Thank you for listening to Celebrations Chatter. You can join our community by reaching out at chatter@celebrations.com. And while you're at it, tell us what topics you'd like us to explore here on the Celebrations Chatter podcast. Thank you for listening, and don't forget to share it forward.